Good morning. We are live. Today we talk about our last capital, which is financial capital. Financial capital. Yes. Yes, good morning, everybody. Today we talk about the financial capital that concerns with what God has given us. Are we stewarding it as we should? This reminds me of the parable of the talents, if you remember it, Matthew 25. Yes, the master decided to leave his workers with money, talents. Actually, we talked about this last Sunday. Pastor Jeremy Benazi preached about this, and it was so good because he actually now converted for us the actual uh, the actual price that the talent was equivalent to. And he said that the person that was given one talent was given about, I think, 1 billion. And then the one that was given three talents, it amounted to 1.2 billion. That's in Uganda shillings. And then the one with five talents was 3 billion Uganda shillings. I was so happy with the way he delivered because, it put it in perspective. If God left you with 3 billion shillings, what would you do with it? How would you multiply it? Would you be like the servant, the unprofitable servant who said, I'm sorry, I had nothing to do. I was scared and I dug a hole and buried the money because I was scared of you. Because I know you reap where you don't sow. And so he buried the money. And God told him, you foolish servant, and took away the little that he had and gave it to the one that had multiplied the money. So, what are we doing with the resources God has given us? God has given us all things that pertain to godliness. He has given us all spiritual gifts, and He has given us gifts according to our abilities. It is not good to compare and say, I want to be like so and so, they are like this, they are like that. No, He has given you your own gifts. So, what are you doing with those gifts? Is He going to be proud of you at the end of the day? Will He say, thank you, good and faithful servant, you have multiplied your gifts? So, when we talk about talents, we are not only talking about singing, gifts, and things like that, music, talking, like I am doing, and things like that. No, we're talking about the things that He has given you, the resources that He has given you. He has given you, yes, He has given you talents that you're going to use to make money, but He has also given you real resources. Like, let's say you get a salary every month. What do you do with that money? Are you stewarding what God has given you well? Hmm? Are you stewarding of the things that God has given you? He has given you a plot of land. What are you doing with that plot of land? Are you growing it or is it stagnant? He has given you property. He has given you gifts. He has given you everything. What are you doing with all those things that God has given you? We are supposed to be growing them. Thank you for joining us. Whoever you are, please comment, say hi so that we know that you're there. Yes. So the money that we have been given, the things that we have been given, we are supposed to invest them. Hmm? We're supposed to invest them. We are stewards. This stuff is not ours. We are just keeping it for God. And when He comes back, He's going to ask us, what did you do with what I gave you? Is He happy with us at the end of the day? So today we are going to talk about the principles of wealth creation, the principles of money. I would recommend that you buy this book. Sorry, this is the coach's manual, but the straightforward financial growth book is there. Sorry, I can't find my copy. I just had it last week, but I said I'll just bring this so that you just see a copy. This is a book that was written by Moses Mukisa, and it has changed my financial story. I am one of the certified coaches, and our goal is to change 100,000 people's financial story. We want to kick poverty out of our lives. We want to kick poverty out of Uganda. We want to make a difference. So, are you ready to change your financial story? If you're doing well, well and good, but you can be better. Yeah, the sky is the limit, they say. So, today we're going to talk about the principles of wealth creation. We're going to talk about uh, the wealth cycle. What do we need to do to get rich? So, the first thing we are going to do is obviously we need to have some income. We need to have income. So, rich people have 7 income streams. Minimum number of income streams is 7. How many income streams do you have? Do you have an income stream? So, getting rich is just about getting it, the money, keeping it, which is saving, and then growing it, that is investing. Okay? So, there are 3 principles: get it, keep it, grow it. So, are you getting it? Because you can't grow what you don't have. Are you getting your income? Are you getting income? How many income streams do you have? How much income do you have? Then, when you get the income, what do you do with it? What do you do with the income? Are you growing it? Are you keeping it? Are you eating it? Okay, there's a verse in the Bible that says He gives us bread to eat and seed to sow. So there is a part of your income that you're supposed to eat, and there's a part of your income that you're supposed to sow. And that means invest it and grow it. Yeah? The Bible says a wise man, a good man, leaves an inheritance for his children's children. Are we planning to do that? Are we planning to leave money or investments for our children's children, or are we planning to just wait and suck on them when they have started working? Yeah? So, what is it that you're doing with the money that you get? Number 1, grow it. Okay. The next step after getting your money, you are supposed to save it. Yeah. And ideally, if you remember the story of Joseph, Joseph in Israel, when Pharaoh had that dream, he told him that 7 thin cows were going to come and swallow 7 fat cows. And this is reality. Yeah, that is an economic story. Let's not spiritualize it. So, 7 thin cows are going to come and swallow 7 fat cows. That was the dream that Pharaoh had. And Joseph interpreted it for him and told him, yes, we're going to have 7 years of plenty, and then later on there's going to be 7 years of famine. And he asked him, what should I do? What should I do about this? And Joseph told him, store food for 7 years. The 7 years you have plenty, store food, and then later on in famine, we shall use that food. And indeed, that's what happened. So this is just like us. In real life, we have 40 years to work. We have 40 years to work, and then we're going to have 40 years to retire. You had your first 20 years when you were growing up, and then your parents educated you, and you did all this, they prepared you. Yeah, then you come get a job, you work for probably 40 years. Yeah, assuming you retire at 60, and you started work, they're actually less than 40 years, because you start work maybe at 22, 23, depending on whether you went to university or not. So, or if you started working during the university. So ideally they're about 40 years. So 40 years of working. And then after those 40 years, you're going to have 40 years of retirement. I hope you never retire, but there'll be 40 years. Yeah, assuming that you retire at 60, assuming you live up to 100 years. So 40 years of plenty, 40 years of scarcity. So how are you preparing for the 40 years of scarcity? Now, this is where the income you get right now comes in. So the income that you get at your job is supposed to help you prepare for those years of scarcity. So what do you do with the income? minimum you're supposed to save 20%. 20% of your income should be saved. So I encourage you, number one, to have what we call a money management plan. A money management plan has minimum, really minimum, really, if you must, at least you should have 60% of your income spent on expenses. So live within your means. Spend 60% of your income on expenses, 10% tithe. I hope we are all Christians. So 10% tithe, 10% giving. You give your relatives, your friends, somebody has lost someone, somebody is getting married, your parents, yeah? Honor your parents. Honor your parents and give them a monthly income. So you have 10% tithe, 10% for giving, 20% saving, and then 60% your expenses. Get a saving account. If possible, put it on a fixed deposit account, or get somebody to sign with a signatory so that you don't access that money. That money is supposed to take care of you. We call it a financial freedom account. So that financial freedom account is for you. Hi, Christina. Thank you for joining us. Good to see you. People are in Kamoli. Thank you for saying hi. Hi, Christine. Nice to see you. And thank you for the compliment. Yes, so we're talking about financial capital today. So we're saying, what do you do with your income when you get it? So save 20% minimum. That money is going to be is going to help you with investments. Do not save for a rainy day. My pastor says, when you save for a rainy day, the rainy day will come. Save to invest. That money that you have gotten, put it to use, invest it. There are so many investments that you can make. We have different investments. You can join an investment club. You can invest in real estate. You can invest in money markets. You can invest in financial instruments like unit trusts. We have treasury bills. We have all different types of investments. Hi, Catherine Kemirembe. Good to see you. Thank you for the compliment. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Yes, we're talking about once you have saved that 20%, what do you do with it? One of the things that can boost your saving is if you save in a group. So group investments are good because you may not be able to afford an investment of 10 million, let's say, just an example. But if you are 5 guys, or if you're 10 people and each one of you brings 1 million shillings, then you're going to be able to have an investment of 10 million. So those are what we call group investments. So you're going to have your group investments. So save your money, put it away, make sure that you can't access it. It's a discipline. Make sure you put it on an account maybe that doesn't have an ATM card, and then get that money, invest it. Once it has accumulated and can do what you wanted it to do, invest it. And always have a plan for the money before you save it. Because once you don't have a plan, then you're going to, once you're going to just be there and you don't know what to do with it, and most likely you'll spend it. So I've heard of a story of different investment clubs that save money and then they have a lot of money and then they don't know what to do with it. So always have a goal. What are we saving for? If you don't know where you're going, any road will lead you. So save, invest, and then your investment, buy assets. Yeah, invest in assets. Those assets, let's say buildings, let's say you have property. Yeah, invest in assets and make sure that those assets sweat cash flow. Yeah, Robert Kiyosaki says cash flow is king. So make sure that those assets sweat. You've bought a lot of land. What are you doing with that land? Is it just there seated? Eventually, you're going to sell it because you don't see its value. It's not bringing in anything. But once you sweat it, once you make sure that it's bringing in money, then you will see it as an asset. So again, you get your assets, you make sure that they're sweating cash flow, and then you reinvest that cash flow. Now that cash flow becomes income for you to reinvest. And for you to have financial freedom, you're going to make sure that you have that money that comes from your assets. We call it passive income. Yeah, passive income, cash flow. Once that money is greater than your expenses, then you have what we call financial freedom. You'll be able to go and sit on the beach and enjoy the whole day because you know that your assets are bringing in money. Yesterday, I was listening to Robert Kiyosaki, and he was saying that the Rich Dad Company has, I mean, for it arrived long time. He's a billionaire. So what does he do? Money just keeps coming out of that asset. Money just keeps coming out of Rich Dad. Whether he does anything or he doesn't do anything, the money comes. So we need to get to that point where we have financial freedom and passive income is coming in. A very good investment I like is real estate. Real estate, yes, it has low return on investment, but it has low risk. So even as you're looking at investments, you need to look at the risk involved. We have low risk investments, we have high risk investments, we have medium risk investments. So real estate is one of those investments that are low risk and low return on investment. However, it is something that is reliable. I mean, even your children's children are going to find those houses there. How do you want to be remembered? Do you want to be remembered? Do you want to be forgotten? I was reading Ecclesiastes this week with my family. I think it's chapter 1, where Solomon was like whether you're rich, whether you're poor, you're going to die and be forgotten. But I was like, no, Solomon, we are still talking about you today. You're the richest man that ever lived on planet Earth. We are still talking about you, so we will not forget people who are rich. Our children will remember, our grandchildren will remember, our great grandchildren will remember that, oh, we had that grandmother who left for us this property, and up to now it is there. So, what are you doing with your money? You need to have a management plan. You need to have we have those documents that you fill in. You need to track your income. How many income streams do you have? Rich people have 7 minimum income streams. You cannot be relying on one income. And I think COVID has taught us this very well. People have lost jobs, people have lost businesses. So what is your plan B? What is your plan B? You cannot have one plan, because in fact most of us who work, we're going to retire at some point. So what's going to happen when we retire? How are we going to get income? So this is the time when we are working. I'm sure that I'm talking to people who are around my age and slightly and maybe younger. Yeah, people who are still actively working. These are the years when we need to work. What is it? What else can you do? And let us not stop. Let us not only settle for our jobs. Yeah, rich people make income even after working. 8 to 5 is your job. Then what do you do after 5 p.m.? So let's have many income streams. Let's dig deeper. Look at yourself and say, what is it that I can do? Maybe you can bake. You do not have to only remain on your at your 8 to 5 job and think you have arrived because I work and get this. I have this job, and that is what has happened to our parents. Our parents worked. That is all they knew. They worked. They reached retirement. When they get to retirement, then diseases come. My father got sick. He had never been sick. He got sick when he retired. That's when the pressure came. That's when the diabetes came. Why? This was retirement shock. So we need to plan for retirement. We need to plan for those years of scarcity. What are we doing to plan for those years? They are coming. For me, I have worked at Makerere for 18 years now. 18. I'm glad I have something to show for it. So by the time you retire at 60, if you're going to reach 60, I hope I don't have to work until I'm 60. I hope by that time I'll be financially free and don't have to work. But if you're going to retire at 60, what are you going to do after 60? Because the stress that comes with retirement is the one that brings all these sicknesses, this uncertainty of you're being used to waking up, getting a job. I mean, you have a job, you wake up, you go and work. Now, all of a sudden, you're waking up to nothing. What do you do? What do you do with that? With during that time, what's the plan? What's the plan? That is why you need to invest for the years of scarcity. We need to invest for our children's children. We need to leave an inheritance for them. We shouldn't suck our children dry. They should be sucking us dry instead, because we're the ones who brought them here. And then, after you have died, how do you want to be remembered? What is your legacy? God has given us all these gifts. What are we using them for? What are we using them for? You might be good at baking, you might be good at crafts, you might be good at talking like I am, you might be good at business, you might be good at network marketing. What is it that you're doing that is going to bring in supplementary income that will take care of you? And by the way, when you have these income streams, you can say the money that comes from the real estate, I invest still 20% of it or all of it, invest it in something else. Do not get the money that comes from your investment, what we call the children of your investments, and eat them. Hmm? And another thing I would recommend is that you read. There are so many books that you can read on finances. The Rich Man of Babylon. That's another book by George Clason. He talks about the children of your investment. So you have your real estate, or you have rentals, or you have something that is bringing in money. Maybe your cake business, your juice business. Yeah, it's bringing in money. What are you doing with that money? Are you eating it, or are you investing it to bring in more money? So do not eat the children of your investments. Let them go and work. Yeah, you can never work more than money can work. Money can work for you better than you can work for yourself. So let your money go and work. For me, in 2008, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and that book changed my life. That is when I said, let me invest in real estate. That was almost 12 years ago. 12 years ago, I remember I was in the US. I read that book. And for me, I was like, I wanted a hassle free investment. And I said, real estate is the way to go. I did not want to do things like those businesses that require me to be there. Yeah, I want to be at the beach sitting and my money is working for me. That is how Robert Kiyosaki put it, and I loved it. And when I came back home, I was like, I must start investing in real estate. So real estate is very good because your money works for you while you're not there. You put there your rentals. Yes, it has a low return on investment, but eventually you will get your money back. I mean, it will come slowly, but it will come. And then the money starts working for you. Once you have put there your property, you can go to the beach and enjoy life, and that money will just keep coming in and coming in. And like you were saying, yeah, yesterday I was watching him, and you were saying Rich Dad produces money every single day. Yeah, every single day it's producing money. So you need to be informed about these money things. Read books. Get out of poverty mindset. Yeah, intentionally push back poverty reflexes. So pay the bill for the table next to you at the restaurant, for example. Do not let poverty speak to you. That yaka meter that is always making noise, that is a poverty reflex. The gauge in your tank, that is a poverty reflex. Yeah, why is it on enough? Why is it on edge? Why can't you fill the tank? you know Pay for loads of yaka units. Give generously. Another thing that you need to do is give, and always remember the Lord your God, because he's the one that gives us the power to create wealth. Give to his kingdom, give to his people, help people around you. And in Proverbs he says that he who gives to the poor lends to the Lord. Can you imagine? So give to the poor, help the poor, give generously, live generously. In this book, we have four principles that we believe in. That number one, you need to believe in the material that you're going to read, in the material that makes you wealthy, that gives you ideas to get wealthy. You need to believe. You need to give. Giving is also very important to the in the kingdom of God. And also you not even only in the kingdom of God. You've seen how Muslims are generous. Yeah, Muslims are generous, and that is why they are rich. My children go to Kavoja Junior School, and they have a culture of giving on sports day or functions. When they have functions, they give free food, and I'm like, wow, who does that? Yeah, it's very rare, and that explains why they are rich, because of that. So generosity is also a kingdom principle. Speak positively into your life. Do not start saying in the muntu wawansi nedda nedda nedda. I am a person of God. I am a child of God, and God is our Father, and silver and gold belongs to Him, and He will give us the desires of our hearts. Those are all His promises, but we need to give Him something to work with. For me, I'm not for people who just sit there and wait for money to come. people who just sit and are waiting for miracle money. No. What have you done with your talent so that God can bless them? Give God something to start with. I remember when I was starting on my real estate project, I was so scared that my mom encouraged me. She said, faith without action is dead. What have you done? What can God work with? You know, you have this big dream and you're thinking, my God, will I ever do this with your little salary? And my mom is like, start. Start now. Give God something to start with. And indeed, I started with just 10 million shillings. And now there are 6 rentals. There are 6 rentals. The dream was 7, one to go. But I'm telling you, if you don't give God something to start with, He's stuck. He's there with your blessing, but He doesn't know what to do with it because He can't see what to multiply. When you start, then God will multiply. So I started 10 million, brought up my just the shell, and I stopped. The shell of 2 units, and I stopped. And after that, I waited. Another 10 million came. I did the roof. And then after that, I went to the bank and said, I need money to complete my house. And they gave it to me and I completed and I finished paying that loan. So, guys, what are we doing with what God has given us? You have that plot of land. What are you doing with it? I had a plot of land somewhere that was idle for very many years. And after SFFG, this course that we did, the financial course, I was like, oh my God, all these years this land has been there doing nothing for me. I decided, let me go and plant trees. And now I'm expecting a return in maybe 5 years or something. So, what are you using your assets for? Do you have assets that are just lying there idle? I know many people who keep buying land, 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 land. What is that land doing? Are you using it? Are you growing it? Or is it just there? Because eventually you'll sell it. And that is not good. So you sell it and then you eat the money, and what next? Unless you sell it and you're going to do something sensible with that money, maybe you're going to buy property somewhere, we're going to invest it in a business. Yeah. So, what are we doing with our money? What are we doing with the things God has given us? What are we doing with the money that we get? Do we eat it all? You need to have a budget. Do you have a budget for your monthly expenses? You need to track your income, track your expenses. And then there's this, you need to grow your income minimum by 20% every year. If last year you brought in 100 million or less, okay, let's say 50 million, that was the money that you brought in last year, how much are you bringing in this year? Ideally you should have at least 20% increment in your investments, in your savings, and in your income. You need to grow your income, grow your investments, grow your savings annually. At least have a target. And it's also good to have a target and say, this year I want to make 100 million. And then you go back and say, how do I make 100 million? You go and compute your salary, see how much you expect from your employer. What other things can you do to grow your income to that level that you want? And then also, do you know what your net worth is? That was another thing. That was another thing that I learned through SFFG. Do you know your net worth? How much are you? Imagine if you had a shopkeeper, you have like a small shop somewhere, and there's a guy who is taking care of it for you. He's working in the shop. And every time you go there and ask him, how much did you sell today? I don't know. How much money did you make? I don't know. How many kilos of sugar left? I don't know. How would you feel? That is exactly how God feels about us, not knowing what we are worth, not knowing our investments, not knowing our income. That is exactly how God feels. He has given us things to steward for Him. Do we know what they are worth? Do we know what we are worth? Have we used our investments well? Have we used our assets well? The way that parable talks about in Matthew 25. Please go and read it. There's another one which talks about the shrewd manager. Please go and read those parables, and they will